Hello and welcome back to part 3 of our GPGS tutorial. This time we're going to be taking a look at leaderboards. So this video is going to take the same format as the achievements one, where we first update our UI, then we'll jump into the developer console and set everything up there, and then finally we'll come back and create our leaderboard script and then test it on our phone. So to start with, we're not actually going to need anything with our sign-in panel, but we are going to need this home panel. I'm just going to duplicate it as well, and I'll just name that leaderboard panel, and we'll minimize that one because we don't need it yet. And with our home panel, we're going to take this achievements button and we're going to duplicate it and drag it down, and we will call that one leaderboard button, and we'll just change the text there as well to be leaderboards. And then inside of here, we've got this currently linking to our achievement panel, but we've just created our leaderboard panel, so we'll make it set the leaderboard panel to active instead. And that's it for our home panel, nice and simple. Minimize that one. In our leaderboard panel, we're going to have a place where you're able to enter a score and then hit post, and then a log for text so we can see what the output is, as well as our button to bring up the leaderboard. So we'll start by making this the button to show our leaderboard. So we're kind of just call this show leaderboard UI button, and we'll just say show leaderboard here. We'll duplicate that button and drag it down here, and this will be our post score button. And in there, we'll just say post score. Then we're going to create in our UI a text element. Just top right align that and just drag it out a bit. Make the font size, let's say 60, and we'll just call this our log text, similar to the way we did our achievement one. And the last piece that we're going to need in here is a UI for an input field. And that input field, again, we'll make it just a little bit larger. We can center align that, that's fine. I'm going to call this input score field. And we got a placeholder in our text. If I highlight both of these, I can just change the text for both of them to 60 and center align and center align. That should be fine for that. So placeholder text is obviously this part that says enter text. So I'll just make that say enter score. And the text will be what we're actually inputting. In this input score field as well, we're going to want to change this to be from a standard text to an integer number. That's just so that when people are entering things, they can't enter letters. It'll only allow numbers, because if you did have this posting scores with letters, it would fail because it wouldn't quite know what to return. You can see I can manually type things in, but if you're playing the game and you try to type letters in, it won't let you. It'll only allow numerical values. Okay, that's all we're going to need to set up in here for now. I'm going to open up my browser and go to the developer console again. Inside of the developer console, I'm going to open up my project, and we'll scroll down to leaderboards. This is going to be a very quick and easy one because we're only going to set up a single leaderboard. Once you've set up one, you pretty much understand how they all work. So I'll just call this my test leaderboard. It's going to be a number format as well. And we're just going to have no decimals. I set that up as an integer just to keep it nice and simple, but you could have decimals in here and then use it as a float instead if you would like. But this is going to be a very basic example of just tying it all together. We're not going to worry about an icon. I'm happy with the largest number being first. That just means the highest score is the top of the leaderboard. Tamper protection is just to automatically filter fraudulent scores out. So if someone starts posting ridiculous scores, it will just automatically delete them. I'm not quite sure how it actually determines that. It might do it off a basis of, these are all the previous high scores posted, and if someone's, 100x that, it might just eliminate it. I'll just leave that as on, that's fine. We're not going to set any limits. There's no minimum score and no highest score, and list order is 1. That's just one out of our leaderboard list. So we'll save that as a draft. And we'll exit out of this. You can see it's giving it a similar ID to the way it did the achievements. A lot of these systems actually work very similar. So we'll say get resources again. Remember that obviously now that we've added in this leaderboard here, we have to make sure that Unity knows that it exists. So I'll copy this text here. We'll jump back into here and we'll go Window, Google Play Games, Setup, Android Setup, and I'm going to replace what's in here. So what I'm replacing with includes the leaderboard now, and we'll hit Setup. That will work. It will do its dependency resolving again. That's fine. Let's just make sure that that actually worked. So we'll click up to Assets. I'll open up that GPGS IDs. And we can see in here I've now got my leaderboard underscore test underscore leaderboard. This works the same way as it did before. It prefaces it with the type of achievement or value that it is, and then it has what you've called it with underscores. So we're going to be calling it or adding it via this ID, which will just reference this string here. So we'll close that down. And we are now at the point of inside of our scripts. I'm going to create a brand new C# script. I'm going to call that one leaderboard. And we'll open it up in Visual Studio. Okay, so in this script, we again are not going to be using a start or an update method. We're just going to have some methods that we're going to be calling. And we're going to add our classes here. So using Unity Engine.social platforms, using Unity Engine.ui, and using Google Play Games. Now inside of our scene, you'll know that we've got a button for our show leaderboard button. We've got a post score, and then we've got our input field, our log text as well. So I'm going to be grabbing a reference to this input score because I'm going to need to know where that value is, and we're also going to have our log text. So I'm going to create a public text, and we'll call that log text again, just like we did in our previous one, and a public input field that we're just going to call score input. Now function-wise, we're only actually really going to have to do three things. The first one is to show the leaderboard UI. The second one is to do the actual posting to Google Play services. And the third one will just be a button so that we can call that function nicely. So to start with, I'll create a public void show leaderboard UI. And that show leaderboard UI is going to do something very simple. It's just going to be social.show leaderboard UI. It's actually pretty much the exact same way that it happened inside of the achievement one. The second function we'll just call public void do leaderboard post. And that's going to take in an integer that we'll just call underscore score. Now inside of our achievement script, we used a method called social.reportProgress. This time we're going to be using something quite similar, and this methodology of taking in a value, taking in the percentage you've completed, and then performing an action afterwards. That action's going to remain the same for us, but we're going to be using something that isn't report progress. We're going to be going social.reportScore, and you can see that it takes a score, it takes a string for the board, that's the ID, and then it performs the action as well. So score I'm going to pass through as my actual score. The board is going to come from GPGS IDs, and we're going to be passing in the leaderboard that we had. And then the action, I'm just going to keep the exact same as the action that we had for achievements. So I'm just going to copy the one that we had here, because that was actually fine. It's just logging, really, that we want to be showing here. So I'll copy and I'll paste that one in. Obviously, the log text here is going to change because we're not performing anything with an achievement this time. But instead, what we might just say is score posted. And here we'll just say score failed to post. So that will just give us a prompt on screen to at least let you know, yes, it has actually posted the new score. And we might just say here, score posted of, and we'll add in the value that we're posting here. So it'll be plus underscore score. So we know the value that we're posting when it tries to post. Finally, the last thing we're going to need is a public void leaderboard post button. And that doesn't need to take in anything. And all this one is going to take is the do leaderboard post. Now, the do leaderboard post is obviously expecting an integer. And I've created an input field. So I can say score input dot text. But obviously, currently, I've got a typecast issue. I can't convert my string into an int. And that's because what this is here is I'm trying to take the value out of this, and I'm trying to take this text element. I suppose more accurately, I'm actually trying to take this text element here. And because this is a string, obviously it won't convert. So in order to convert this, I'm just going to type int.parse, and then in brackets, we'll pass in that text. So now that's going to take this text value that we have here and try to convert it into an integer. And because we also have that constraint on the actual input field as well, where we've said it must be an integer number, we're never going to run into a situation where you aren't actually parsing in an integer, so it should always work every time. And also this is just a test, so it's not a big deal if we run into some situations where it can't. That's all of the code that we're going to write for this one. Let's just hook up the scene and we should be fine to test. Okay, so to start with, I'm going to be adding the script onto my leaderboard panel, and we're going to need to tell it what my log text is, which is this text element here, and my score input, which is this input field that I've got here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is make this show leaderboard button actually show the leaderboard. We've created a function for that, so we'll grab our leaderboard, and show leaderboard UI. Then our post score. We can get rid of this and add in the leaderboard function that we created for this, which is just called leaderboard post button. So now what will happen is a user will come into the scene, they will be able to see the leaderboard that exists, they'll be able to enter a score and then post a score. Now the cool thing about leaderboards is that it already takes into account whether a score posted is a high score. So for example, if I were to enter in 30 here and hit post score, my high score at the time would be 30. If I then entered in 20 and hit post score, my high score would still be 30 in the leaderboard. So it automatically handles whether it is currently a highest score or not. And then obviously we've got our log text here to just tell us what is being posted. Okay, so now we're just going to set up the scene back to the way that it needs to be. We've got our sign in panel as our first scene. It will sign in. That will take us to our home panel. The home panel will have a leaderboards button, just making sure that my leaderboards button will actually take me to my leaderboard panel, and then we can test everything out from there. So we'll build now. And we're just going to call this one leaderboard and save. We're just going to open up the code tutorial GPGS. It'll sign us in again. I'll log in as myself. Go to the home panel. Obviously this time we have our leaderboards. Open up our leaderboards. First let's make sure the show leaderboard is working. Cool, that's good. I've got my test leaderboard. I can see that there's no high scores in here yet. That's good. We'll go back out of this and I'm just going to... Well, you see I can't actually enter any letters or anything in here. It only lets me enter numbers, but I'll just put in, let's say we want a leaderboard score of 90 first. I'll post the score. You can see up the top right it says posted score of 90. I'm going to reopen that leaderboard here. And you can see that I've now got a score posted of 90. And that's really all there is to it. I'll sign out and we're done. As always, I just want to take the chance to thank Flarvain for the support over on Patreon. If you'd like to do the same, Patreon/Flarvain. Thanks guys, see you in the next video.